Welcome into a very special episode of Cubs Now. We're going to throw to a Kerry Wood interview from Cubs Convention that Alex and myself did. It's probably one of my favorite interviews from Cubs Convention. We've released a few others on the Cubs Now podcast here. Alex, it's the anniversary of the Kerry Wood game today, obviously, on May 6th here. So 1998, it feels like we are old.
You bring up the year 1998. It's what, 2026? Do the quick math. 28 years ago. What are we doing?
I know, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Anyways, we're not going to burn any time here. On the back half of this, we will recap, talk, chop it up on the 20K game. But let's take a listen to ourselves alongside the great Kerry Wood. Really excited to be joined now by Mr. 20 Strikeout Game himself. His name is Kerry Wood. He's a Cubs legend. We're excited to chat everything ball with him. Kerry, just talk about how incredible this weekend is and how much fun it is for you to come back and interact with everybody.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I think my first one was in 1996, maybe. So I've been doing this a long time.
Just a couple years ago.
Missed a couple from my A couple of my kids were born, so I missed a couple of them. But yeah, man, this is so cool, and the energy this year seems different. Probably from the 2016 team being here. The city's just buzzing. Bears are got a big game tomorrow, so it's always great to get back here and be with the fans and get ready for baseball that's right around the corner.
What's your view of this rotation coming into 2026? You got the young Cade Horton, who really broke out last year, had an incredible stretch. You add Edward Cabrera, Justin Steele coming back probably around the midway point, we hope. It's really dynamic. There's a lot of different looks. From your perspective as a pitcher, though, what jumps out about the 2026 rotation?
I just think the depth, just not just the rotation, team in general. I think our depth with the moves that were made this offseason, Cabrera, obviously a big arm, and we know we hope to get out of him. But the moves in the bullpen as well. Like we've added some arms there, and like you said, with the staff that we had, we feel deep all of a sudden, and that's a good problem to have. So you can never have too many arms. I think we've made a bunch of moves that will give us options down the road. Yeah.
You brought up Edward Cabrera, and when I think of Edward Cabrera, I'm like power pitcher, hard-breaking stuff. Kind of reminds me of Kerry Wood a little bit. Now, if you would talk to Edward Cabrera, what would be a piece of advice that you would give him as somebody with a somewhat similar arsenal?
I mean, it feels like I was just saying earlier to somebody, it feels like they're like, oh, your stuff. I'm like, I feel like there's 4 of me on every team. Like everyone's
different. Yeah.
There's 5 or 6 guys on every team that are throwing 98 plus and can spin it. So, with watching Horton last year, really enjoyed watching him. And obviously when he was in a stretch of scoreless innings, it was fun for all of us. And then you start trying to look at it and see, like, what makes him different. Like, obviously he's got good stuff, but everybody has good stuff. Like, why was he having success? And I think for him, his ability to hide the ball, I think he does a really good job of hiding the ball. I don't think hitters pick it up until it's on him. And that always plays well for a pitcher if you can hide it. But, for Cabrera, I just say, listen, spend the time to perfect your craft. They should all be doing that, right? Like, if it's a tweak here, and we were just talking about technology of it, the analytics of it. I had to go out and, it might take me 2 or 3 bullpens to figure something out. If I got to fix something or tweak something, I got to feel it a bunch of times and do it and be like, oh, that's what it feels like. That's what I need to be doing. I mean, with the machines that they have behind them and the bullpen, they can do it in a session. They can fix it in a session, look back after every pitch and be like, oh, I did this and that made this much difference, or the ball went this way, or it had this much spin on it, and that was just a little grip change. And so I think the fact that they can have access to that stuff, I just say, they should all be in there perfecting their craft, and it's gonna be ever evolving. I don't care if you play 3 years in the big leagues, or you play 15 years. You're gonna always be tweaking and working on things.
All the information and data that they have now, you didn't have back then. So would you, if you were pitching in 2026, would you go about things differently than you did, 25 years ago?
I think you have to. I think it evolved where you have to. I think if you don't, I have questions when I see the talent at the big league level. And what guys can do with the baseball, I have questions of I would even be able to make it, that now.
You know what?
My stuff.
But I think you would be able to make it.
All right. But you look at what, like I said, there's 5 or 6 guys on every team, and it's everyone's got something that they're really, really good at, and it's, to me, they're all I don't know how anybody gives up a hit or a run. These guys,
the stuff is so good.
It's so impressive.
So good.
Which even makes the hitting more impressive, that they can actually lock in and be able to hit that stuff. So. I would have to. You have to use that. You have to use that technology. You have to use it as a tool in your tool belt.
All right, this is something I've been really excited to do. I didn't bring a ball, but I'm going to ask if someone behind me has a ball that I can borrow.
We need somebody to give Lance a ball.
There, see, there we go. Cool. So I wanted, it's already got an auto on it. I don't know who that is.
Zambrano.
It's Zambrano. Okay, so
I won't mess up the
it
autograph.
up. I wanted to see, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, your fastball, slider, curve was your primary repertoire for most of your career. Talk me through the breaking balls in particular, how you gripped them, your cues, your mentality around them. Because they were incredibly effective pitches, and as we're talking about, like that is the modern pitcher's throwing those pitches 70% of the time. So tell me about how Kerry Wood threw them.
So for me, like my fastball, I just do four-seam fastballs. So I wanted to just backspin the fastball. If I could get out front and pull that down and have some backspin, when you hear hitters talk about like it had late life or it jumped or it feel like it rose, for me that's what it was. If I could stay true behind the ball on my four-seamer and gave it that that back rotation, I think that gave it more carry, and that's what. I mean, I struck out a lot of my strikeouts were belt high, belly button high, four-seam fastballs in the inner half. And so I needed that extra hump and that life. Curveball for me was always a pitch I could throw as a kid. I choked it probably more than most guys do.
But you're no spike. You were flat.
No, I'm full on. It was just middle finger was on it, and I was gripping it tight. Yeah, I was kind of choking it.
I got spike now to get to the front a little more.
And so they probably have a better feel for it. I never really messed around with that.
Feel?
Not always.
Really?
Like, not always on that. So that was a pitch where, like, I could go out and start a game and not throw it well and warm up and not throw it in the first 2 or 3 innings and throw a couple and bounce 4 feet in front of the plate or throw it behind a righty's head. And I'd be like, all right, I'm going to put that in my back pocket. And then I could bring it out in a random count in the 5th inning, and all of a sudden, boom, it's there. So that, for me, that was always a field pitch. I either had it and it was really good and I could throw it all day long, or I struggled and I couldn't find the grip. And it was probably because I choked it too much. And then my slider, for me, when I went to the slider slur, whatever you want to call it, it was just I looked at it as a power pitch.
Okay.
So I didn't really it didn't feel like it was a field pitch.
It was
for
a
me.
hard slider.
I threw it like a fastball.
Yeah.
And so
what they call now a cutter.
Right. I can control that better than I could the bigger breaking ball. And I was going to get more swings on it. My curveball was, unless I hung it, guys most of the time would take it. So if I didn't throw it for a strike, it didn't have the effect that I always wanted it to have. So it was a free lefty, like wide open on the right side. Batter's box is wide open, lefty in there. It's a free strike one. So I threw out a lot of first pitch to lefties just
like
to get
you
ahead.
channeling what Tom Brady did on the broadcast with the football with the base hard. Now you're making Lance's dream.
This is
great. This is Lance's happy zone right now.
This is awesome.
So later in my career, when I went to the pin and my arm slot had to change a little bit, I had to go a little bit higher. Obviously, I couldn't get around that. Couldn't throw that slider as well. Curveball was still good because I was up in that arm slot. So then I had to go to a cutter.
Okay.
So that's when I started throwing the cutter, and that again just to play off the fastball. I still thought the same thing. I really took my four-seamer and I turned it that much, and I threw it like a four-seamer.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more drop, a little less velo.
And then eventually, when I started throwing it more, I could rotate it a little bit and get a little more depth with it. But that was just trial and error. Like I wasn't turning around and going, oh, that had 4 inches of depth. I can move it one seam over.
Do you remember the first time you threw it?
Playing catch. I threw it playing catch all the time, just messing around with it, just to try to, because when I was with Cleveland, my slider was not there, and then when I didn't have the feel for the curveball, I'm closing games in the American League Central with a four-seam fastball. As a closer, I'm like, you need something.
Yeah.
You need something to get them off of it.
Yeah. Unless you have a Mariano Rivera cutter.
And I didn't.
So and now, like you're talking about all the technology behind you and everything, I imagine you maybe talked to Tommy Hotovy. Did you ever ask like a Hotovy or someone how your mix would be different now? Like I imagine you'd be a sweeper guy, maybe a sinker. Like I feel like everyone's throwing 5 or 6 pitches.
And that's the other thing that's pretty impressive. They don't just have 1 or 2. Like coming out of the pen as a closer, I'm like, all right, I got to have my fastball locked in for sure, but I need to have a second pitch. Like you can't come in, you can't work your way into a curveball. Like you can't take 3 innings to come in and find your curveball. So that was a big change, but I could never sink the ball. I could never get it to sink. I threw 1 sinker, and I threw it to Jeff Kent because Jeff Kent hit like 400 off of me in his career.
People don't
so
really
one day
forget.
I'm like, I can't even get this. Like this guy barrels me up every time he's in the box. I hit him a couple times just to try to get him off of it, like nothing. And
hey, it wasn't like it was an 8-hole hitter. It was,
it was
like an MVP.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, okay. It's a weird name to say when it's like, who owns you? I'm like, Jeff Kent. They're like, really?
That's a good one, though. I mean,
Wore
Kent's
me
an
out.
Unbelievable player.
So I threw one sinker in my career.
Raked.
He
Jeff
did.
Kent raked.
He raked me more than
That's
most.
like the big thing. I know, like, I'm trying to think. Someone threw, like, a cutter to Ohtani that they'd never thrown. Like, Logan Webb might have been. Saw Ohtani was like, I'm going to throw a cutter up in, and he literally never threw a cutter.
Yeah.
It's like, I imagine the good hitters get challenged in a way, because you're on the mound going, this dude's slugging 550 off me. Like, I'm not going to
I threw everything. He hit a slider. He hit my fastball. He hit my cutter. He hit everything. Change up that I didn't even throw that often. I threw it to him. He still whacked that. The one sinker I threw, he hit it for a 400-foot homer. So I threw one. I'll never throw it again.
That's it.
I just couldn't get it to move. And then change up, I worked on change up for, I had a 17-plus year professional career. I worked on my change up for 18 years.
Yeah.
Never got it?
And I never got a feel for it.
Did you ever go to split?
I tried that too.
Yeah, didn't work?
Yeah, no, I got whacked. No, I tried it all.
Whatever you got to worked pretty well for you. Everybody give it up for Kerry Wood if you can. Kerry, we're gonna ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah, of course.
My question for you is 2026. How does Kerry Wood consume baseball? When you sit down and watch a game, what do you look for specifically from a pitching standpoint?
Honestly, it's hard for me to sit and watch a whole game.
Okay.
I just try to watch how guys are attacking, what their game plan is. I try to figure out what their game. If I can sit down for 3 or 4 innings and watch a guy, I just try to figure out what his scouting report was, like how he is attacking that lineup with his stuff. And so I'll never get bored of watching that. I coach high school ball, so I try to get. A couple years ago, I coached for 3 or 4 years, and I was trying to teach the kids how to what that looks like.
Yeah.
Like you're attacking a lineup with your stuff, not your buddy's stuff. Like changeup worked really well for him. Maybe your changeup's not that good. So just seeing how guys kind of go about it and try to figure out what they're doing, what they're thinking.
So you're talking about how you're a high school coach. There's also a lot of kids here. If a kid comes up to you and says, "Hey, Mr. Kerry, I want to be a good pitcher. What do I do?" Like from a fundamental standpoint, what should they start off with? Like, if you're going to be a good pitcher, you have to do this thing. What's the thing?
Well, you got to work harder than everybody else. Like, and the position players are like, "Oh no, no." You got to work harder than everybody else on the field, and you have to love it. Number 2, and for me, it's have fun, man. Have fun playing the game. Like we've turned youth sports and even high school sports into. I think it's a trickle down too from the NIL and the big. Like I think it's all trickling down.
It's a completely different era. Yeah.
Thank goodness I'm done with the travel sport with my kids because they've outgrown it and we're done. But there needs to be more fun. I think kids there's a pressure on 12-year-olds because their parents are paying all this money to be in a travel league that shouldn't be there. They should be 12 years old and going out and playing baseball and having fun and learning. Like I don't think they get to learn the game as much as they should because there's a stress level that shouldn't be there for kids. So the number one thing for all these kids is have fun, love what you're doing, and be a good teammate. If you're going to make it, you're going to make it. Like there's not anything special you're going to do at 10 years old besides play. Go play. Love the game.
And when you were that age, you were just, I want to get out on the field, I want to throw, I want to play baseball.
Yeah, and then when baseball season was over, I went and played basketball. I love basketball.
So you're not into like specialization. You're like, hey, I want you to play all year round, just baseball, basketball, football, whatever you can get your hands on.
I agree. Exactly right. I think specialization happens naturally on its own. Like you're going to eventually not be good enough at football, and then you're going to be stuck with baseball or basketball. And then eventually you're going to not be 6'8", and so basketball's not going to be your thing. And then that's kind of how it worked out for me.
Kerry Wood, this has been unbelievable. Thank you for taking the time. Give it up one more time for Kerry Wood, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Here comes the hook. Got him! 20 strikeouts! He ties the Major League record! Unbelievable! Strikeouts for Kerry Wood.
He's got the National League record. He tied the Major League record. A one-hit shutout, 2-0 with 20 strikeouts and no walks. And how about that?
A big thank you to Kerry Wood for taking the time during Cubs convention to chat with us. That was a very fun interview. My favorite part of that, obviously, is where he goes through all his grips.
When he did that, I'm like, I'm just going to sit back and let Lance and Kerry do it. This is your interview.
Catnip. That is catnip for me. But I always enjoy like listening to guys go through how they pitched and what they went through from like a grips and shape standpoint, just because of how important that is to development now. Like guys, they have reams and reams of data about like what grips and orientations are the best to throw. Back then, Kerry Wood was like, this is just what I did, and I was able to be one of the most strikeout happy pitchers in baseball at the time. I mean, what was your reaction to that particular element of the interview?
Well, I think that for me, perception didn't quite meet reality with Kerry Wood. I remember at that time watching him pitch. I'm like 8 to 10 years old. And I'm like, Kerry Wood's a fireballer. It's like the good old number one. You hit it, you can rename it. I just expect him to be like a fastball pitcher, and then you snap in the occasional breaking ball that was really good. But it was much more descriptive to that. It was much more of a process. Like, he wasn't a thrower. He was a pitcher. And I think me at that point in my baseball career, you don't normally get to distinguish between a pitcher and a thrower at age 8 to 10, but I always just thought like, man, he throws hard, he's a burner.
Yeah.
But he was really a student of the game, and you could tell just by the way he went through the pitch scripts with you and just his philosophies with everything. I found it really interesting.
Yeah, I'm Googling right now because I wanted to see it. He, to me, is like the modern pitcher present day, but you take him back to like the 90s and such. And I think that's so fascinating just because I feel like you often, like in every era, there are pitchers that feel like they can traverse eras. Kerry Wood, to me, is a pitcher that feels like you could take him from when he debuted back in 98
and just throwing gas.
You know?
And it was weird. Like, we had an interview with Kyle Hendricks, and you could kind of do the reverse with him. You have Kyle Hendricks in 2016, and you could place him back in 1997, and he would be an ace. Now, Kerry Wood, he's doing this in 1998, 20 strikeout game. He would come in 2026, probably throw like a tick or two harder because you treat your arm in a different way now. Training's a little bit different, but he would be an absolute stud.
He's the exact kind of pitcher that I feel like the Sharp organizations glob onto now. He struck out 27% of the batters he faced, walked 11%. So his walk rate was definitely above the league average, but again, relative to the K rate, it was worth it, you know, and that's where baseball has gone to. It's gone towards chasing the strikeouts with being willing to give up some of the walks. The way you become the best pitcher, you become Paul Skeens, is to limit the walks alongside the strikeouts. But his ability to spin the ball really hard, create the breaking ball shapes he did, that is what you talk to people from like a draft cycle standpoint, that's what they're trying to ID. Think of all the pitchers who've popped in the recent drafts. It's all guys who spin the ball really well, throw the ball hard, combine those traits. And you can figure out the walks as you go. We got central targets now as a really aggressive strategy for a lot of pitchers. I don't think in watching this 20K game that was something they did much back in when he debuted in 98, but I find him fascinating.
Is it weird to say, I mean, this might be generalizing, that Kerry Wood and Paul Skeens have some similarities just from like brute size and the way that they throw the ball and their shapes and just blowing the doors off of hitters? Like, there is some similarity to the way that they go about the game of baseball. Like, Skeens is kind of a throwback of that, and Wood was well beyond his time.
You know, the one that jumps out to me, it's not a Cub, Skeens isn't a Cub either, but I think of a little watching Nolan McLean now with the Mets, where he has like this crazy huge breaking ball. He has like a curveball and a sweeper that just move a ton. Yeah. And you watch him and you go like, it feels like he's throwing a wiffle ball. That same effect is what I think of with Kerry Wood, where it's like young pitcher at the time in 98, obviously rookie. And I think of the same thing with McLean, where it's like McLean is a guy who was a two-way player 2 years ago at Double-A, kind of gets into pitching late and then has this crazy natural ability to spin the ball, and you watch him and you're just like,
and throw frisbees.
This is insane. And that same effect is the visual that I think of when I think I watch Kerry. It's that, whoa. Like, I feel like I could pull the idea of if you show it to someone who doesn't watch baseball, and they would think that guy's the best pitcher in the sport because it's just something you don't see a lot. It's a little different to watch the offset camera angle lefty throw, where it's like, I don't really see the ball moving. I don't understand why these guys aren't hitting it. And then to watch like the righty throw, and it's like, oh my God, that breaking ball is like, looks like a wiffle ball.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little Nolan McLean, there's a little Logan Webb there as well.
Sure, yeah, I can see that.
But with Kerry Wood, like the way that he talked through the interview and how he's able to really get in touch with the game in 2026, how he's able to take it in, how he's able to introduce it to his younger generation. There are some pitchers of that generation, you look at the 90s, look at the 2000s, that aren't as much in love with the game in 2026 and the way that it's transformed into your data world. And there are some pitchers, I think Jim DeShays does an incredible job at this on the broadcast,
broadcast, being a pitcher from a different era and adjusting to this era. And I think Kerry Wood is kind of in that vein in which I don't think I expected him to be.
I agree with you, yeah. Is there anything else that kind of jumped out from the interview broadly about, him reflecting on his time? I love the story he tells occasionally about is it the Rookie of the Year award, where he didn't really care about it. I don't want to say care about it, but like he didn't really think of it as a memento from his career. Then the Cubs Productions did a really good Mild Stuff video where they talk about this, and he kind of realizes that his wife was correct in preserving that element because it's such an important thing to him now. I thought that was really fun.
I think like the personality matched up to me. Like he's still like so stoic. He's a big figure, and when he speaks, you listen. Like I can listen to Kerry Wood talk baseball for hours because you know that what he's going to say when it comes to his memories of the game or this present game is going to be important, and more than likely, it's probably going to be right.
It is, absolutely, yeah. I mean, who else are we going to... We got to get some other people at CubsCon. Like, I feel like he's one of the names that I was most excited to talk to. I'm kind of wondering, like, where do we go from here in terms of CubsCon interviews? That was a big one.
So we had, the 2016 reunion was really helpful towards that. Thank you so much for the Cubs staff for that. But,
yes.
But just being able to talk to Joe Madden, have a conversation with him, Kyle Hendricks, have a conversation with him, and we have others that we're willing to roll out over the course of the year. But that team was just filled of personalities. I mean, you're looking at the podcast, Anthony Rizzo, David Ross. It's phenomenal. Kyle Schwarber on there. They're doing a great job. Just got really lucky with the cast of characters that 2016 team had and being able to talk with them at CubsCon on a cold day in January, or cold couple days in January. Man, we had a blast.
I do enjoy talking to older pitchers as well. Like a couple years ago, I think we did a little segment with Fergie where Fergie talked through what he threw. And that's something that I feel like transcends, it's obvious that it transcends time, but pitchers talking about what they threw and how they threw it and what they were thinking. There's always subtle differences between them. And especially with this Kerry interview, probably is very different than how a Justin Steele or Benn Brown might talk about how they throw now. But everyone can learn from different points of history through grips.
But you can also
how you threw.
You can take
so
this
fun.
how are Justin Steele and Benn Brown going to view baseball in that lens in 10, 20 years?
That's a great point.
Hindsight's 2020. Like Kerry Wood did this as a 20-some-year-old in 1998 and had to deal with injuries and had to reinvent himself as a closer and was on the cusp of retiring and then came back and threw some bullpens and ended up being an all-star. So I think his career, people are often like, well, man, Kerry Wood could have been so good if only he stayed healthy. Could have been so good.
He was good.
He was good.
He
He was really good.
Yeah.
And I think he should be appreciated more for that.
It's a great point. I mean, he had from 98, he didn't pitch 99 till 2004. Like that 6-ish year pocket or so, he threw close to 1,000 innings. He made close to probably 200 or so starts, won a bunch of games. His ERA was below the league average. He struck out more.
200 strikeout seasons.
That pocket, I think sometimes we get a little carried away with assuming that a guy was good for a 5-year period, should have been good for 15 years.
Yeah.
To pitch for a very long time is it's hard.
Very
hard.
Think
like Sandy Koufax and stuff. That's a short window of time.
And then get hurt, and then be on the cusp of retiring, and then being one of the better closers in baseball. It takes a lot of resolve to be able to do that, especially with such the high marks that he had early on in his career. I'm a big under-promise, over-deliver guy. He did not under-promise, over-deliver. He didn't do that.
I mean, it's a great point. His 2008 season, he had 34 saves, 66 innings. That was when he was 31 years old. That 20K game was in his age 21 season. So
You're
think
a decade
about,
removed.
I feel like we maybe aren't getting as many of these guys who go starter to reliever in the present game, but I think like Dempster as well, in this ilk as well. But that ability to do that 10 years removed from being very good, but now being good at a separate, slightly different task from a pitching standpoint is, I imagine, incredibly difficult, but also proves the resilience of the player to continue to grind through injury, and then 10 years after your peak, so to speak, you are a different kind of great.
I feel like baseball history sometimes lumps Kerry Wood as, man, he could have been this, and he could have been great. And he's not a could been. He was.
Exactly.
He was.
I think, pitching is just very hard to lengthen out to the point where you can do it for 10 years. And I think that's just a byproduct of creating the breaking ball shapes he did, perhaps, or throwing hard. It's the same with modern pitchers as well. Maybe Justin Steele's already had a bunch of injuries and stuff, and it's was he become a closer late in his life? There's kind of fun iterations of the current Cubs pitchers that make you wonder.
I think you bring up a really
good
point that, man, I would love to see Kerry Wood pitch in 2026. So Kerry Wood, if you are watching this, you want to make a comeback, like, we're all for it.
We are absolutely for it. Hopefully we run into Kerry Wood at some point in the future and have more conversations with him.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. He was a blast.
All right, Alex. This has been a great episode of Cubs Now. Again, shout out to Kerry Wood for everything, for joining us. And we will see you guys soon on the next episode of Cubs Now.